Hey guys, Chris Dunn here. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, and that's because I've just been absolutely insanely busy with these cryptocurrency markets and our trading community. As you guys probably know by now, Bitcoin has just been on a massive tear, and what I'm going to do in this video is give you kind of like a play-by-play and show you what's happened the past couple of months and show you some of my predictions that have worked out, also into the future, some new predictions, and also show you some of the markets that are best to trade right now, because that's the questions that you guys have been asking me in the comments over the past few videos. So I want to just start by looking here at coinmarketcap.com, and just let's take a second to just take a deep breath and take this in. You know, it's so incredible to see where cryptocurrencies have come the past few years. Even just a few short years ago, from 2013, when a lot of my friends on Wall Street that were either in the hedge fund community or active traders were laughing at Bitcoin, those same people are now coming to us hat in hand going, okay, we finally get it. We were stubborn. You know, this is real. It's not going away. And Bitcoin and altcoins together have come from, just about $1 billion market cap just a few short years ago, all the way now up to over a $45 billion market cap. So that's just really incredible. And the other day I wrote this blog post, I'll link this up in the description below, just talking about some thoughts on the future of trading financial markets and cryptocurrencies. And, I start by just explaining why trading Bitcoin is so much better than the other financial markets, and how a few years ago I actually completely dropped day trading the old school financial markets to focus 100% on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, just because I saw the potential for this. I didn't know that Bitcoin was going to have a massive market cap in just a few short years, but I saw the potential, and I knew that, cryptocurrencies really gave the little guy such a big advantage over traditional market. So if you want to read this, I'll link it up below, but I just think it's so cool to see where we've come in just the past few years. Now, if we jump over to the chart, I want to just set a little bit of perspective for anybody who's kind of new to this. So my first blog post that I actually wrote about Bitcoin in November of 2013 was actually bearish. It was negative on Bitcoin, and it was negative on the price. It wasn't negative on Bitcoin as a tool or a new market, but I actually issued a couple of warnings. You can go back and see the video that I posted warning about Mt. Gox, how I thought they were insolvent when everybody else was saying, oh, it's safe to keep your money there, and also how I thought Bitcoin at 900 was overvalued here. And then sure enough, the year of 2014 is the year where we shorted Bitcoin quite a bit. And back here, a lot of people didn't even know that you could short Bitcoin. And then in 2015, everybody thought I was crazy again when I was buying Bitcoin in the 200s. In fact, we actually issued a trade alert here at $188, and people thought we were absolutely insane. But that turned out to be close to the bottom. During this whole year, Bitcoin was relatively flat. And then ever since then, we've just been in a beautiful bull market. And for those of you in the Bitcoin community, you know that Bitcoin is referred to as the honey badger of money. No matter what you throw at it, this thing is just a beast. It will not die, despite over hundreds of articles and obituaries being written about Bitcoin. Everything from back here in the late part of 2015, where you had the MMM Ponzi scheme. Here in the summer of 2016, we had the Dow hack and Bitfinex issues. And then here in the early part of 2017, where I did the video that was a little bit clickbaity. You can go back and watch it, where I said, Bitcoin crash, now what? And my reason for doing that video, which actually kind of went viral in the first few days, was just to let people know, look, guys, don't freak out. Even though Bitcoin crashed, it was on nothing. China likes to flex their muscles anytime Bitcoin's price goes up, and that caused fear and just another good buying opportunity. And then finally here a couple months ago, the ETF, the Winklevoss ETF, got rejected by the SEC, and people again got fearful, but that was another great buying opportunity. And then here in early March, I did this video where I talked about, the comparison between Bitcoin and gold, and how the price of one Bitcoin exceeded the price of 1 ounce of gold. And I laid out a target of in between 1,500 and 1,600 in the next couple of months, Well, here we are 2 months later, and we actually just stabbed through that profit target. And there's actually several reasons why Bitcoin's price has gone up like it has, and I'll just list these kind of quickly on the chart here. Obviously, Asia right now is a big driving force of trading volume and user adoption. Particularly Japan, right? And they have some exchanges that are no-fee exchanges, so really the trading volume is kind of hard to pin down. But nonetheless, guys, Asia and Central America are the driving forces of cryptocurrencies. We in the West, meaning here in the US and parts of Europe, don't really, a lot of people in the general public don't see cryptocurrency in their daily lives, so they don't understand why it's growing so fast. But unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Venezuela is going through some massive crises right now. They literally have tanks rolling through the streets, barreling people over, setting people on fire. Like, this is the result of socialism, right? And this is why people in Central America, and particularly Venezuela, are flooding to Bitcoin to try to preserve their wealth, where their currency is effectively going to zero. So in addition to Asia and Central America and Venezuela, also Bitfinex is having banking issues, which is putting some artificial bullish pressure on price. But that, I don't think, is the major reason. You know, the same thing happened with Mt. Gox back in 2013, where, you know, obviously they were insolvent, which everybody knows now, but at the time they didn't. And that created even more bullish pressure on price. And then also the SEC is reviewing their decision on the ETF. So I really don't care what they say about the ETF, because the market's already proven that if the SEC doesn't want to play in the Bitcoin space, so what? That is not going to affect Bitcoin whatsoever. Also, global economic issues, right? Like Venezuela, like India, like China. Right now, you have some governments that are just doing some really asinine things that are driving their citizens to Bitcoin. And one thing that, you know, that I've talked about in the past and a lot of our live masterclasses is the fact that there's really only about maybe 10 to 15 million people currently using cryptocurrencies, right? Now, and I've proposed this question: what if even a small percentage of people in India and or China start adopting Bitcoin, right? What would happen? They have together, China and India have over 2 billion more people than we have here in the U.S. So, you know, people in the U.S. that are kind of smug, thinking their credit cards and checking accounts are the thing that's going to be the future of banking and finance. You know, you have to keep in mind that there's still billions of people around the world that are what we consider to be unbanked. They don't have access to merchant accounts, right? And that's why I get excited about helping entrepreneurs in third world countries and emerging markets. Okay, so when it comes to price, are we in a bubble? Well, it's hard to know. Yes, we've been through several bubbles, right? And I've talked about this in many of my past videos, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that now. But one thing that I talk about is anytime the market goes parabolic, meaning when price starts taking off faster relative to the prior trends, that is usually a very risky thing. Okay, so again, 2 months ago I called for 15 to 1600. We just hit that, and then yesterday I actually tweeted this almost near the current top. I said, okay, look, CNBC now is pushing pump articles out, right? Like there's all of a sudden, like when price goes up, CNBC starts saying positive things about Bitcoin. When price is low, they say negative things about Bitcoin. It's the exact opposite of what you should do. So I said, whenever you have four massive green days in a row, plus you have the mainstream media that starts to pump it, that's usually a sign that a pullback is coming. So if we zoom in on the hourly chart, I actually posted that tweet right about here, right? And then we actually had about a 10 or 11% pullback over the next 3 or 4 hours. That is really incredible. If that happened in the stock market, I would be on CNBC that day. right? So the fact that whenever you start to get this big volatility, this actually gives for some nice bounce plays. And Rocky in the trading room yesterday had an incredible bounce play off of this low, because typically what happens, guys, is after you have an over-exaggerated bull trend and then you have a snap, it usually pulls back to the first area of support, which it did yesterday. Okay, and then here we are now starting to consolidate inside of this range. Okay, so now for some of my predictions, obviously right now there's a lot of unknowns in the cryptocurrency and particularly Bitcoin market, but I would not be surprised to see in the future a pullback to retest this prior high, so maybe around 1,300, maybe get a pullback to this zone. And as I've said, since 2015, once this market started to take off, I am bullish until the market starts to prove otherwise. Meaning, I don't know. Nobody knows where the top of this trend is going to be. But one thing is, you just have to understand trends. You have to understand price action, runs, retracements, consolidation. And I talked about this in my my Bitcoin crash video a few months ago, where I show the 7 steps of a bull cycle and why Bitcoin has just been steadily stepping up. And now it's started to go a little bit parabolic. So this is where I start to get concerned on the short term. But again, on the long term, I'm bullish until the market proves otherwise. Okay. So just one more point that I want to make for anybody that's relatively new to this or trying to figure out, one question that I get literally every single day of my life is, anytime Bitcoin's price goes up, is, Chris, is it too late to buy? And if you have to ask that question, that means you don't have a plan. And I want to help you just quickly have a plan. And I think you need to start by thinking about the difference between trading and investing. Okay, so trading is where you profit from volatility, right? Which Bitcoin, in my opinion, is by far the best market to trade on the planet today. Bitcoin and altcoins. My background is in the traditional financial markets, which I have kind of left behind to focus 100% on Bitcoin over the past few years because the volatility is so incredible. The thing that the media loves to trash about Bitcoin is actually the thing that is so great for traders. Now, on the other hand, investing, right, is where you profit from a growing cryptocurrency economy, right? Meaning, if we go back and look at the market cap, this is a growing cryptocurrency economy. You can see through, from 2009 to 2013, it was very, very small, just $1 billion or $2 billion. And then we had the China bubble here in the end of 2013, which looks dwarfed by the cryptocurrency value today. And I expect this to continue to grow. I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when you have governments that are giving their citizens no option but to flock to these decentralized, math-based, trustless currencies instead of putting their faith in corrupt politicians. I mean, the writing's been on the wall for several years, and now it's just starting to really hit mass user adoption. And we still have a long way to go. I mean, there's still issues with Bitcoin from the block size, and several other things that could put bearish pressure on price. But again, as long as this bull market's intact, I'm bullish. But you have to think in terms of trading and investing. If you don't want to trade, that's fine. That's a great way to actually build your capital because of this volatility. And that actually leads me to my other point, looking at some altcoins. So one of my biggest gains this year was on Stratus. So in my past couple of videos, I think I mentioned how, we were really bullish on Stratus back here over the past several months. Got in around 6 to 10 cents, and this thing is now well over $1. So absolutely an incredible gain. You can see it's currently number 13 here on the market cap list. Just a couple of days ago, it crossed $1. Literally zero to over $120 million market cap in less than a year. Again, I start to get a little concerned on the short term whenever I see price starting to go parabolic like this. But nonetheless, if you get into these cryptocurrencies early, accumulate and hold, as I talked about in my last video with my 2 favorite altcoin strategies, The accumulate and wait strategy is great if you pick the right coins, okay? Now, also today we have Ripple that's popping off. So we've actually been, this is another one that we've just been quietly accumulating around these lows, and you can see this sucker is ripping. And so how do you find the best altcoins to trade? Well, again, I've showed this in a prior video, but I want to show you this again. You go under trending, gainers and losers, and here you can see the biggest gainers. Only really pay attention to ones that have a few $100,000 worth of trading volume in the past day. So you can see Stellar, $50 million over the past day. Ripple, $200 million over the past day. Those are the ones that you want to pay attention to. Also on the losers, a lot of times when you have high volatility, some coins that on, say, Monday are on the biggest gainers list, Tuesday or Wednesday can actually end up on the biggest losers list because the volatility is so high, right? So you can have a 200% swing on Monday, pull back 50%, and it looks really negative, but overall that crypto economy is actually growing, right? So that's the best way just to kind of find a starting point, but again, you need a plan. So what I would suggest is if you want to learn how to start trading this stuff, I will link up in this video my free Bitcoin basics course, which will show you how to actually start trading and investing and thinking about this the right way. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below in the video. Again, just a quick video because we've been so busy with our trading community. And, trade smart, invest smart, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.